Hello, we are summary guidance. Let's have a quick view on The Captivity by Louis Erdrich. We'll be discussing a short introduction about the poem and the poet, stanza-wise summary with the mind map, also the subtitle suggestions, which will help you to write your essay, key points, along with the study questions for preparing your exam. Let's move on to the introduction. Louis Erdrich, a renowned Native American author and poet, is known for her works that intricately weave together the experiences and histories of Native American and mixed heritage individuals. The poem, Captivity, delves into the harrowing experience of a woman taken captive by Native Americans, reflecting on her struggles, fears, and complex emotions during and after her captivity. So this is what the core of the poem. The woman, how do the woman struggles, fears, and complex emotions? In Captivity, Erdrich's nuanced portrayal of the captive's experience, how do they suffer under the control of the captors, offers a deeply human perspective on historical events, shedding light on the emotional and psychological complexities of such experiences. So it is all about the communication and the relationship or the perspective between the captor and the captive. Stanza 1. The opening stanza talks about how do the captives suffer. The stream is so swift. They are talking about the temperature, the climate, so swift and cold that it feels like it could slice her in two. So slice her into makes it clear that the cold. Emphasizing the cold, the severity of the cold, and her captor saves her. Her captor, the speaker, the captive is the speaker here. Her captor saves her from the flood by dragging her out by her hair. So the captor was rescuing the life of the captive, the woman, showcasing his control over her survival. Over time, she becomes able to recognize her captor's face among the other captors, indicating a forced familiarity. Also, she fears that she might understand his language, which is non-human language, symbolizing a disturbing psychological connection. Finally, the first stanza ends with she kneels down. She kneels to pray for strength, relying on her faith to endure the captivity and resist the captor's influence. So the first stanza talks about how do the captive, the woman, talks about the climate, the cold, and how the captor was rescued the woman and the relationship between the captor and the captive. Let's move on to the second stanza. The group is relentlessly pursued either by God's agents or pitch devils. Here, the speaker was thinking about the captor's crew, the group. Either she was not sure due to her couldn't make it the certain idea about whether they are from the God's agents or the pitch devils. So she had a confusion. She had the constant danger and uncertainty about the group of people, the captors. The pursuers are armed. Pursuers, the captors. The captors are armed with guns loaded with a swan shot, highlighting the lethal threat they pose. The speaker I could not suckle and my child's while put them in danger. So the speaker couldn't nurse her child whose cries endangered the group, the captors. So another woman, he had a woman with teeth black and glittering. Another woman, she fed the child milk of acorns. So another woman with black and glittering teeth fed the child acorn milk as they moved deeper into the forest. The captives and the captors, they moved deeper into the forest where the light grew dim. It's going to be dark. So that's all about the second stanza. Let's move on to the third stanza. I told myself that I would starve before I took food from his hands. His is the captor's hands, but I did not starve. So the speaker initially resolves to starve rather than take food from the captor. Of course, it's danger, but still she was demonstrating the resistance and determination to maintain the control over her own choices, but still, due to the starving, despite her resolution, the speaker eventually eats the venison from a deer and its fawn provided by her captor, indicating a reluctant acceptance of the necessity for survival. So the meat given by the captor. Here, the rest of the third stanza talks about the tenderness of the meat. It was so tender. He killed a deer. So the captor killed a deer with a young one. So he killed the young one in her and gave me to eat. So the captor gave the meat to the speaker. It was so tender because the deer is very young. The bones like the stems of flowers. So the bones of the deer, like the stems of flowers, also the captor cuts the cord that bound her to the tree. So that I followed where he took me. The night was thick. He cut the cord that bound me to the tree. So he cut the cord. So here he thinks about some kind of physical freedom that complicates her emotional and psychological state. That's all about the second stanza. Let's move on to the third stanza. The birds mock, shadows gap and roar, and trees lash out, illustrating a hostile. So the nature was mocking at her, and the fear of God, mimicking natural environment that mirrors the speaker's inner turmoil. She had fear on God. God's wrath is depicted as fire blasting from her half-buried stumps, enhancing the sense of a supernatural threat and the speaker's fear of divine punishment. So here, she thinks about God blasted fire from half buried stems. The speaker hides her face in her dress, fearing that God would burn them all, which shows her profound fear and sense of vulnerability. Let's move on to the third stanza. The speaker feels disconnected from reality, suggesting that being rescued has led to a loss of clarity or disillusionment. So here it is all about her haunting memories. My husband drives a thick wedge through the earth, still it shuts to him year after year. The husband's efforts in working, her husband as a farmer, he was working the land are met with futility, indicating a sense of persistent struggle and unyielding challenges. But he couldn't get anything from the land. Despite the struggle, there is some provision as a child. So, despite the struggles, she could have a kind of a positive note that the child is fed with the first harvest, symbolizing the hope and sustenance. So, my child is fed off the first wheat. Here, the speaker finds a moment of comfort and escape in the domestic setting with a luxurious Holland-laced pillow bear representing a temporary solace. So I lay myself to sleep on a Holland-laced pillow bear. I lay to sleep, and in the dark, I see myself as I was outsider their circle. So in that moment of the introspection, the speaker thinks about her haunting memories. The speaker feels a sense of alienation, seeing themselves as they were before becoming part of certain group or circle, highlighting feelings of being an outsider and reflecting on their past identity. It is purely talks about the speaker's haunting memories, the past memories. So the next stanza. The individuals are engaging in a traditional or ritualistic activity. The captors, then knelt on deer skins, some with sticks. So they are doing engaging with their traditional ritualistic activity, indicated by their kneeling on deer skins and using sticks. They are doing their rituals. The captors are doing their rituals. The leader's action, the leader of the group, the leader's action, and the group's collective noise, the remaining people, they were doing the collective noise become overwhelming for the speaker, causing intense discomfort or emotional distress. So she could see the entire group were doing their own rituals. The speaker feels a profound sense of inadequacy or dissatisfaction with their current state. They were doing their rituals, prompting a desire for change. She would like to have some change. In a symbolic act of desperation or supplication, the speaker here, the thought of how I was. Until I could no longer bear, I stripped a branch and struck the earth in time, begging it to open to admit me as he was and feed me honey from the rock. So that's all about the last stanza. Here, the last stanza talks about it is a symbolic act of desperation or some supplication. The speaker strips a branch and strikes the earth, seeking connection or a transformative experience where the speaker wishes to be accepted by the earth and nourished spiritually, longing for the same connection. How the captors they have the connection with the earth, with the spiritual things. So the same connection, how the captor and the group of captors, same connection and the sustenance that the leader experiences. The speaker wishes to be accepted the captives also to be like the captors, the same connection they have towards the earth. That's all about the poem. Let's move on to the subtitle suggestions. This will help you to write your essay, so you can make use of these subtitles while writing your essay. Let's move on to the mind map. Here it talks about the entire summary. You can make use of the mind map to the to your essay. Here goes the study questions. This will help you to prepare for your internals or the semester examinations. Here I have given you the 2 marks and the essay questions. That's all about the poem Captivity. I hope this video finds useful to you. Thank you all.